In a recent piece you penned on Twitter, you argued that Gaza is a turning point for the Muslim Ummah. Why do you argue that?
Well, I think that there are two senses in which it's a turning point. One is intrinsic because of a confluence of events, and another actually is up to us. We should and must make it into a turning point. It would be right to do so. But the primary reason in terms of Muslim existence in the West, and that's really primarily what I'm talking about, but it does have implications elsewhere, is that these events have exposed Western liberal hypocrisy and the hypocrisy of the underlying claims of the liberal order. I think more startlingly, more unmistakably, more categorically than we've ever seen before, possibly at any other time in history. And I think the reason that it's been so transparent, the hypocrisy, is such that everyone's seen it, and it's been exposed relentlessly and mercilessly almost on social media, is because it is contemporaneous with a catastrophic decline, internal decline in the West in all sorts of different ways. But I mean, particularly here, I'm thinking culturally, with the culture wars. The West has never found it harder to define itself, to know what it's supposed to be about. And so you have culture wars. One of the main battlefronts, as you know, is the whole issue of colonialism, the legacy of colonialism, exposing the crimes and the true pernicious, fundamentally evil nature of the imperial venture getting to the point where it's become a matter of scholarly fact, essentially. And then on the other hand, so that's usually associated with the left. On the right, on the traditional right, you have a pushback from that as well. You know, we may have got one or two things wrong, but broadly it was still a civilizing mission. And that's the side that you're finding the populism, which usually, in response to this bogeyman of Islamism and this other of Islam, is trying to reclaim this sense of an indigenous Christian culture. And we are a Christian nation, it's a Christian country, Christian values. And short of that, most of the time it is short of that, British values which have a kind of respect for a Christian past, but certainly can't subscribe to Christianity. Very often you have the Douglas Murrays of this world who are, I mean, in his case, he's actually a gay atheist, incidentally, who is calling for a return to Christian values. I mean, that is the level, and that in itself is an instance of that kind of hypocrisy, that level of civilizational weakness, at the same time as we've already been subject to 20 years of the exportation of freedom and democracy, as a type of justification for the huge aggression directed towards the Muslims in the war on terror. But the point is, where it's supposed to be the ultimate universal neutral advocate for the human being, for the right to life, for human rights, for freedom. And yet we've seen them vacantly ratifying genocide right in front of our eyes, which for the first time ever has also been live streamed right before our eyes. And it's unmistakable. And even those who used to be on the fence, or who even sometimes were themselves enthusiastic Zionists, seeing this it's turned into a real crisis of conscience for them. On the other hand, the other side, the inveterate Zionists have hardened, and they've had to start to defend the indefensible. And the reality is, when you start to defend the indefensible, people are not stupid, and that's very transparent. And that's why the Israelis also, in the past weeks have suffered the biggest propaganda defeat that they have ever suffered, because it's just so transparent, that transparently indefensible what they're trying to defend.